So I came across a thread today on the Boagworld forum with quite a few people that are planning to go to South by Southwest this year for the first time, and they were asking for advice. So I started to type an answer in the forum and then realised that actually I couldn't be bothered and that it took too long and I had too much to say. So I decided I'll record a little video instead. I think the first thing to say about South by Southwest is it's totally overwhelming. There is just so much going on, and the conference centre itself is so huge. There's so many different tracks happening at the same time. There's so many people there. There's so many parties. You can feel very overwhelmed, and it can be a very intimidating conference to attend. However, hopefully I can give you a few tips that certainly helped me to kind of get going and get working at South by and get the most out of it. Tip number one, and I think in some ways is the most important, is try and get a hotel as near to the conference centre as possible. Basically, there are two venues that you need to worry about in South by Southwest. One is the conference centre, and then across the road is the hotel, the Hilton, where some of the sessions happen. But the second venue is 6th Avenue. And that's where all the bars are, and that's where the majority of parties happen. So you want to be in that central kind of downtown area, because otherwise you find yourself spending a load of time travelling, and it kind of stilts the whole thing. You can't be spontaneous, and you can't suddenly go out somewhere because you're back and forth to the hotel the whole time. So get a hotel as central as possible and make a huge difference to you. Second thing for newbies is that they always do like an introduction to South by Southwest panel on the first day, and I'd really recommend going to that because it will help you loads to kind of get stuck in and to find out the most about South by and all the different things that go on. Next thing is register early. Try and register actually the day before the conference starts. I think they open for a bit in the evening, as I remember. Queues are a lot shorter. You'll go through ever so fast. You can waste a lot of time registering. The queues do get pretty long, although I believe they're doing it slightly different this year, so it might be better. Who knows? Sure, have a look at the schedule before you go out there. Pick out the main things that you really, really want to go to. But don't overplan. Don't plan out every day and exactly what you're going to do. When you get there, you'll want to change things around. You might want to give yourself some free time at certain places. You might decide that one speaker really inspires you and he's sitting on another panel and you want to go and see that now. So I don't think you can really plan it all out in advance. Sure, pick out the big hits that you definitely want to go to, but don't plan every minute. When you do go to a session, I always think, and this is a really good tip that I think I learned from Andy Budd actually, he said make sure you always sit near the exit, all right? Because don't waste your time on a session that you're not enjoying, because there are so many sessions running simultaneously. Just get up, go out, go find yourself another session. The problem with South by is the quality varies hugely. Some people put loads of effort into their presentations and do some really great stuff, and other panels are just totally unorganised and really a bit shite, to be honest. So make sure you sit near the exit so you can make a quick getaway and go into another session. Talking of which, in my experience, the individual speakers are often better than the panel. I don't know why that is, whether it's that nobody feels responsible in a panel, while when you're an individual speaker the pressure's all on you, but I tend to look for individual speakers more than I look for panels. The other thing that I'll say is if I do sit in a rubbish one and I skip out, and if there's nothing better to do, sit yourself down in the corridors. You can get into some great conversations just sitting on the floor in the corridors, and it's amazing who you bump into. And there's been a number of times where I've got chatting with people with no idea who they were, only to turn out that they were the founder of Twitter or whatever. So corridor conversations are great, and you should spend some time there. I think, and that kind of brings me on to the next thing, which is remember not to spend all your time sitting in sessions. For a start, you'll burn out. But secondly, South by isn't just about the great sessions, although there are some really good talks. It's about hanging out with people too. And you need to really push yourself in this area to be as confident as you can and introduce yourself to people and get talking to people. And don't be afraid even to go up to people that you really admire and you really respect. Everybody's so friendly. It's very rare that people are funny with you or awkward. And I know that's a really hard thing to do. Hell, I really struggle with it. I remember sitting in a bar at South by last year and seeing Merlin Mann sitting a few tables away, and I didn't have the guts to go up to him, and I've kicked myself ever since. Because I'm sure he's a really nice guy, and I'm sure he would have been more than happy to chat with me for a few minutes. So don't be afraid to go up to people you admire and you respect, who you see around. But also, talk to everybody. Talk to everybody and anybody. Just the people that are supposed web celebs are not more interesting than anyone else. So, you know, get into conversations with anybody you can. And even, you know, hook up with some other newbies. It's like one of the things I want to suggest to the people in the Boagworld forum post is that actually they meet up with one another so that they can, you know, meet new people and talk and hang out together. You also find that there's quite a lot of stuff going on the fringes of the conference as well. Little groups that are meeting up for various reasons. So see if you can hunt some of those down and join in with them as well. That's very enjoyable. If there's somebody in particular you want to meet, I recommend stalking them on Twitter. Twitter's really useful at South by because you can see where people are going, where they're going for lunch and, you know, what bar they're going to and, you know, all of that kind of thing. And it's also really useful to know about the parties in the evening because sometimes, you know, a party gets incredibly busy and people are queuing up for hours and you don't want to traipse half the way across the city only to find that there's no space there. So check out Twitter, search on South by or follow certain people and then you'll get an idea of where's busy and where's not and where's a cool place to go and that kind of stuff. And don't be afraid, you know, if there's someone you want to meet, follow them on Twitter, see where they are and go and meet them, go and get there. Couple of places that I highly recommend personally, which might be a bit of an English thing where the Brits tend to meet up. But I seem to be spend a lot of my time in somewhere called Buffalo Bills, was it? Buffalo Billiards. So I think it's Buffalo Billiards where they play billiard and pool and that kind of thing. That's a really good place. Lots of people, really good atmosphere, but you can talk, and that's a really important thing. Don't think it's just about the parties. The parties are great, there's free booze and it's, you know, but they tend to be absolutely heaving and so noisy that actually it's very difficult to have a conversation with anybody. Last year I went to very few of the official parties and just hung out in bars and places like that as well. The other place that I recommend that a lot of people seem to congregate is the Iron Cactus, which is a Mexican restaurant on 6th. They've got a veranda outside and you can sit in the sun in the afternoon and, you know, drink margaritas and chat with other web geeks. Really recommend that place as well. You'll find me there quite a lot. So yeah, remember it's not just about the parties, it's about other stuff as well. So there's a kind of few tips about South by. A couple of other things to say. People are asking whether there's going to be a live Boagworld at South by this year. And we've decided not. We don't want to do the same thing every year. So there's not going to be a live Boagworld. Although, feel free to come and hunt me down and we can hang out for a bit. That's absolutely fine. Follow me on Twitter is the way you want to do that. I am talking. I'm doing a solo session on pain-free design sign-offs, so you'll want to check that out as well. And obviously that's a really good chance to catch up with me if you want to have a chat or whatever. And then I think I'm doing a book signing for the Website Owner's Manual at some point as well. And I would really like you to come along to that because I'm afraid no one will turn up and I'll look like an umpty. So there we go. That's a bit about South by. Hopefully that's useful.